Okay. We'll also be answering your questions. I'm giving out the questions as they come in to our guest speakers, and they will help answer these questions. I've told them that if I don't like your, I might decide to give you a horrible question. But all I know is that I'm going to give out these questions. Raffle ticket sheets are going around, so please fill in your information. I believe we need your name. What do we need? Their name and phone number. So please put in your name and your phone number, and then we'll take it back because there are things to be won. Now, for all the aspiring cabin crew who have not had, who've not done cabin crew training, you're advised to go to the back and put down your names because there's some, to be won. There's some scholarships to be won. So if you're an aspired cabin crew and you are yet to do training, this opportunity is for you. There's no point if you've already done training for you to be retrained in the same thing. So we have a couple of, a cabin scholarship from Lagos Aviation Academy for one person. So if you know that you haven't done training, please see them at the back so that I can take down your name and your details, and we'll find out who is. So while you're writing your names and submitting them, I'm going to ask our speakers to help out with answering the questions, but I still have two more which I want to hand over to them before they start answering. Okay, this has your name on it, Dr. Alex. Okay, Jane, it has your name on it, so who's going first? Olumide.
It's not married woman who is not yet done with childbearing become a cabin crew. If yes, what happened to her career when she is pregnant? Let me take it again. A married woman who is not yet done with childbearing becomes a cabin crew. If yes, what happened to her career when she is pregnant? Does the career stop? Does the career stop? Must you know how to swim before any airline can recruit you? If you get married while flying and your body and weight has increased, will the airline stop you from flying? Will you answer that question?
Yes.
Okay. No, she will take the question. So I will leave that part of that question for you. No, don't worry. Don't wait. Just before I take my seat, let me thank the media. LAC members, are you still here? Yeah, because when we started that struggle with NACA to get license, those guys stood by us. Every program we did, every press release, as we're blackmailing the authorities to get cabin crew licensing, LAC members were with us. From the old guys, from 1999, when we started that struggle, like 1999, they were there. And I thank you. Please, can all cabin crew clap for the media, please? And like I said, I mentioned Tony and Mama J flying the flag for us in the media. Tony is here today. Tony, stand up, let them see you. It's painful to see that the National Cabin Crew Association is almost dead, or if not dead. But for those of you flying, you must find a way to wake up that association. Every profession always have people that fight for their progress and their rights. We were with ATSAN before. We were with NOATI. These are labor unions. But we did not get some of the things we wanted until when we were on our own. And let me remind some of the things we got that we are all benefiting today. I've mentioned licensing before. Then there's the damp lease. Before then, it's complete work lease, both cockpit and cabin. We pushed for that. That okay, bring the pilots, but take the cabin crew for training and let the Nigerian cabin crew operate those flights. And now you have it within. The damp lease is all over now to the benefit of the cabin crew. We also fought for the roastering, because then the roastering was always a problem. Is it still a problem? Unselected and revenue yielding routes, you have the privileged one that will always operate it, while those of you that would, like said, will sleep with one eye, will get up on early morning flights. That's when they will put. So it was something we always fought for, and ensured everybody benefited from those juicy routes. There was a lady that was licensed, and the next thing, I think they tested that positive on HIV, and she was thrown out. Who remember that story? Kunle, I'm talking about the HIV lady, and they were trying to maltreat her. We came together to fight for that lady. That yes, she has been licensed, she's positive, anybody can get positive, but don't throw her away like a dog. I think that cost me a relationship with the then DG NCAA, Dr. Demorin. He never forgave me for that. I don't know why he forgave Kunle, but he never forgave me. And when my wife went for the inspectorship interview, we got to the table for him to sign. He immediately saw that name. We joined the International Cabin Crew Association. We took the Nigerian version there. And May 31st every year is the International Cabin Crew Day. Is this being celebrated here? You need to get back. Also, there was the Associated Cabin Crew who was part of that crash, and they abandoned her in the hospital in South Africa. We had to push for them to raise that one. I don't know whether, okay, maybe you addressed that in your turn. We had to push for Associated to get that lady back to Nigeria, because she survived that crash but was badly injured. And also for those who have been operating all those Hajj flights and the allowances are not paid. Those are the things, some of the things we fought for. So the industry is in your hands now. You guys should do your best. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you, Olumide, for that. I just want to say, well, you guys hold on to Olumide and Kunle, because they started the association. So if you guys really want to run with that vision, any one of you, I suggest that you hold them tight and make sure that they show you the way. You probably need a bit of guidance, so let them help you. I want to believe that we've all dropped our names and addresses for the, if you haven't, please put up your hand so that the lady can pick up your, listen. Dr. Wuba would like to answer his questions now.
The question was, why is nepotism so rife in the Nigerian aviation industry? I would simply say that the Nigerian aviation industry is not separated from the Nigerian society at large. Okay? So you will always find that until we change our cultural biases, these will continue to be a problem. Somebody asked the same question in another manner, and the question reads as follows: why play politics in the aviation industry, especially when a cabin crew does not have a connection? Because me, I have my license since last year and have not gotten a job yet. Well, next year a new airline is bound to spring up. By the way, there's about 20 airlines, I think, in the pipeline. And those new airlines, by my consideration, will merge or disappear. And this new airline will spring up and will create at least another, I would say, 10,000 cabin crew jobs. So there will be jobs for everybody. But the truth is that I think one has to really understand that if you find yourself in, we all need jobs, certainly. But if you find yourself in an unprofessional organization be thankful that they don't hire you, because that unprofessional conduct you saw at the gate will also form the basis of the conduct within the organization. I used to be very proud of my organizations in that we don't do anything unprofessional, because at the end of the day, this is a highly professional industry. So if you find that somebody is not picking you because you're not from his part of the country, or you don't speak the same language, or you're not related to his cousin, or you do not know somebody, don't go, because guess what? That same organization will be late with your salaries, they will deprive you of your benefits, they will pretend that you're not entitled to something you're not entitled to. When training comes up, you will not get picked because it will be done on the same basis. So while we want jobs, we should do as much as possible to stay away from unprofessional organizations. I hope I answered that question. The next one is, would your company employ unlicensed crew and train them to license? Very valid question, but remember, the people with licenses say they can't find jobs. And so, companies are not inclined to hire you and train you. Because I also give you an example. A friend of mine who runs a private jet company as well as an airline hired a pilot that he had great confidence in, and as soon as the guy got his licenses, he got a few more job options and moved on without any consideration. So what that individual has done is damaged the opportunity for a lot more people. So that answers the question. Companies are not inclined to hire you and train you simply because there are quite a number of trained people available to be hired. That also brings to my mind the need for you to also think about your training. Okay? You see, you can't train on the A320 and work on the 737. So it is important when you plan your future that you begin to also understand the direction of the industry, so that you know that you are likely to position yourself for a job on the Embraer 145, or I don't know about these 320s. A few of them are popping up, but I don't know their sustainability in this environment. But you need to consider seriously the type rating you go for based on the market that you're seizing. But we think that the market will expand next year and the year after. COVID has been a dry season, the industry is rebounding, and jobs will open up. The final question is lengthy. It says, the recent internet sensation about the use of flight mode and the need for completely switch off of your mobile phone, Dr. Alex spoke briefly on it, and I would appreciate if it could be further discussed, because it's been a tough time getting passengers to turn off phones, and it's even gear up for conversations amongst passengers while securing the cabin. Yes, people are actually walking down the street and using their phones. They don't drop the phones. It's second nature to them. But the regulation says that phones must be switched off during takeoff and landing. The trick for you is to sit down and consider how you will get people that don't want to turn off their phones to turn it off nicely. You understand? Remember what I said? You are the interface between you. So if you tell them, my friend, I've told you to turn off the phone 6 times and you have not done it, I'm not going to warn you again, will not work. Okay? We have to figure out how to do it. It's not a choice. The customer must turn off the phone. And I have seen some cabin crew stand with their hands on their hips waiting for the passenger to turn off the phone, because any minute she's going to snatch it or he's going to snatch it from you if you are not compliant. But again, it goes to, as customer service personnel, how do we achieve the end game while leaving a positive experience with our customer? That, for me as a manager, is what I want to hear. And as we talk about the awards, these are the small things that people note, and they say, for me, I see some exceptional, I said a lot of funny things about the industry, but I have also seen some very exceptional cabin crew. And every time I see somebody exceptional, what do? I call you and I take your name and number. I'm not calling you for anything other than if an opportunity comes, I will tell somebody, I met such and such. The other day, it's funny, I was driving out of Ikoyi Club, and this security guard came up to me and said, "Sir, I think you should do this. I think you should do that." She was so nice. So nice, security guard. But she didn't know I knew her chairman. So what I did was, when I got to my call the chairman, I said, "Do you know I asked for her name. I said, "Do you know such a person?" She's an exceptional individual. I think you should keep her in your focus as to the kind of people you want to place interfacing with your customers. That is exactly the same way that applies to you as cabin crew, is that you never know who is on board. You never know what they are going to say about you. So it's not done for show, to show that possibly. It's done, it should be like, you spoke here about 12, the dirty dozens. Yes, start to imbibe those elements into your character. And that's how you present yourself and your organization. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. I want to share a quick story here, and I've told Tony that I'm going to share it. And I know that for some of you in your airlines, I remember we worked in Virgin Nigeria together, and we had what you call crew development posters and things like that. And I think at that point in time, I wasn't a crew development person. I was I managed onboard manager, and then at one point in time, the airline said they had some crew who were not performing up to standard. Everybody had like performance standards after each flight, and you had to get scored. And once you fell below a particular level, they handed you over to those of us who were trainers to kind of retrain. And I remember, I can't remember whether it was Rose or Mama J who gave Tony to me. And I looked at Tony. From what I know about Tony is cha-cha when he comes over. I think the only problem he had was he was coming a bit late to work for flights. And of course, you have a reporting time. So I called Tony. I said, "Tony, okay, we have to do this thing anyway." So I asked him, I said, "Tony, why are you coming late?" And then he was, still trying to start his magazine kind of thing. And he said, "Well, sometimes to meet appointments, I said, "Okay, so why don't you ask for, on days when you have an appointment, maybe push your appointment to the afternoon, ask for a morning flight." And I guess that solved the issue, because that's all I needed to do. Look at what his challenge was and find a way to solve it. And today, each time I see him on Facebook doing one thing and the other, I just say, "Oh no, this is lovely, this is awesome." And that is it. I may not be as popular as Tony, but I'm happy that even if it was one little thing I did in his life, and that's what we should do. Once you're in a position of leadership, what you need to do is help those coming behind you. Even if they do much better than you, there's no big deal about it. The sky is big enough for everybody. Just play your role. Thank you, Tony, for letting me share this story. I'm ready to answer your question, sir. Thank you. Okay.
Hello. Sorry. Well, the questions I have here, not so much. Someone was asking why are there not, or why is there no media platform like Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp group for cabin crew? But I think there is. I'm aware that Mama G has a very strong and formidable platform for discussion. But you see, when you're using the platform for professional discussion, you stick to it, because otherwise it becomes useless. So you must stick to professional discussions on that professional platform, not for posting everything and people get tired and they start logging out. So please, who Anonymous asked this question, please get onto Mama G's platform for more information. Then the other question I have here is, what can be done to encourage the newly trained cabin crew members, many, after investing into career training as cabin crew, and do get their CV rejected simply because they have got no work experience as cabin crew. Really, I think, Doctor, I think you will answer that question. But you see, there is something called employability. So in employability, you need to have two tracks to life. One is the one that will make you answer to someone who is going to be your boss, and then the other one that's going to enable you become your boss. So you can, the airline industry, the transport aviation industry precisely is just coming out from recession, so there is very little job. But to be honest, we're a bit lucky as a country that so many new airlines are coming on board, and the old ones are actually increasing in fleet. So there's likelihood that job opportunity will increase, in a very short time. So you just keep to faith, continue to get yourself acquainted with platforms or opportunities that can allow you to be interviewed, but always have a second track to life, which is what I should advise. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see some questions here which, if you approach Mama J, I'm sure she'll be willing to, if you reach out to her and she mentors you, a lot of these questions you won't even be asking them because these things would have been answered there. And the truth of the matter is, it looks like there are too many people who want to be cabin crew. And so once there's if you did economics, then it's about demand and supply. If there are too much, then if there are too many people applying for too little jobs, it's going to be difficult. So what I would recommend to everyone who is an aspiring cabin crew is to make sure that you stand out. Let there be something different about you. Don't be like everybody else. If you stand out, if you go for an interview and you stand out, then it doesn't matter how much connections the other people. If there's something that stands you out, it stands you out. That's basically it. So don't just think about being part of the crowd. Be different from the crowd. Make sure there's something different about you. And then probably that will get you the job after you've done the training and what have you. Jane.
Sorry. Yeah, touching on what Madam Joy said actually, about having your CVs rejected or not getting through the interview stage, I have a little story to share on that actually. When I first started going for my aviation career, I wanted to work for Virgin Atlantic. They were based quite close to where I lived. It was a good airline. I really wanted to be with them. I got right down through the selection process to the last stage, and then I was rejected. Subsequently, I went to work with Emirates, and everything worked out really well. And about 5 years into my career with Emirates, I was in first class, and Virgin were just opening up their new route to Dubai. So who was in my first class section that day? None other than the owner of Virgin Atlantic Airways. He was in my section. I'd served him as I would serve any other passenger, but at the very end of the flight, he said, "You know, Jane, it's been a really fantastic flight with you today. Have you ever considered a career with Virgin Atlantic?" Wow. Yeah, I definitely took the opportunity to tell him what happened in the past. So my questions that I got. What is the path of aspiring crew members who can't afford to go to the aviation school? That's a good question because training isn't cheap. So I would suggest that you look at alternative options if you can get scholarships from anywhere. Look online as well. Look, even outside of Nigeria, there are scholarships to increase the diversity of flight attendants outside of the African region. So there are things like the People of Color scholarships, which is from America. They predominantly target African Americans, but it's open to absolutely anyone. So this is something anyone could apply for. Otherwise, if you have to work in another option, meanwhile, to generate your funds to pay for your training, try to pick routes and careers that will enhance your CV later on for your cabin crew role. So customer service, hospitality. Go for those sorts of things. Next question. Should you be a BSc holder to be a cabin crew, or can a YX certificate serve? Here in Nigeria, I believe that most, if not all, of the airlines require you to be a graduate. But that's not the case for foreign airlines. They often just take you if they like you, regardless of your training and your background and your education. So it's worth looking outside of Nigerian aviation if you don't have a BSc. Is it necessary to be a commercial flight attendant before becoming a corporate flight attendant? It's not a requirement, no, but it definitely is a big advantage because you know aviation already and you'd require a lot less training because the foundations have already been set. I think a question like this was already asked, but this one is there a medium or some kind of website that would make it easier to find job openings? So, as mentioned, the blog online, Mama J Aviation blog. There are other groups online, Facebook groups, African Aviators on Facebook, various things on Instagram. Websites as well where jobs are advertised, aviationjobsearch.com, Avianation. You can look around, you'll find them, they're all there, and they do list the jobs worldwide. I've got another question. Okay, no, this is just to review the early questions. Is it a must you know how to swim? If I elaborate on that, yes, it is a must because part of your training includes wet drills. And for wet drills, you need to be able to swim without a life vest and potentially save other people from the water. If you get married while flying and your body and weight has increased, will the airline stop you from flying? Now, the reason they do this in most airlines, they will say it's a safety reason, but we all know that it's probably because you look better when you were smaller, so they want you to go back that way. But they'll say it's a safety reason. If you can't fit that harness, that jumpsuit harness comfortably around your body, or you can't reach the overhead locker, or whatever reason, they'll say it's a safety reason. So yes, it's potentially that they might stop you from flying if you exceed a certain weight limit. I think I've answered them all. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jane. Very soon we'll go into an interactive session. Feel free to interact, but we just wanted to get all the questions out of the way. And I asked Tony and Mr. Ige to handle 2 questions. I told them they can't come in here and sit in here and not do anything. So Tony, please come forward and answer your question. And then Dr. Alex said something about states giving grants for aviation. So please check your states, go to your state's Ministry of Education and find out whether they've got any scholarships for the aviation sector and key into that, because a lot of things in this country are hidden so people don't know. So that's a piece of information that our connecting with Doctor this afternoon is giving to us. Or you can just write a letter to the Ministry of Education and get further information. All right, Tony.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I want to greet my guests. It's a privilege to see you all again. It's always nostalgic to be in gatherings like this. I'm sorry I have to take 1 or 2 minutes to just get myself, because each time I'm here, I see myself in you. I started as a cabin crew as well. And I'm also give credence to Mama J and Mrs. D. These 2 are my line managers and my guys that groomed me. The man I am today is no gainsaying. It's kind of the training that I also got through my managers and the people that I came across in the industry. So just go straight to the question. But Mrs. D mentioned something about leadership, mentorship is very important in this sector. You need to get a mentor to help you navigate the sector. If you don't have a mentor, please make sure you get one. And leadership is very important, which is what also took me to hosting a leadership forum in the sector, because it's important that we create leaders, in the sector. So the question is, most airlines do not post the vacancies for the general public. It just seems like the vacancies are for only those who are already working within the industry. This limits those of us who are interested in becoming flight attendants. Why is this so? Can anything be done about this? Okay, so my response would be, it seems like it's a norm here. Before you hear of any vacancy, spaces are already filled, but people that slide into my DMs or ask me questions, I always tell them that there are secrets to every trade. I mean, if you're trying to pursue a career in aviation, there are platforms. If you are not following Mama J gives tips, talks about vacancies that she's privileged to know that you will not normally know. Okay, be grounded in the sector. Okay, follow the relevant pages, follow the news, the trend about this. You must want to know about your sector. Nothing will drop on the lap of anybody. And since advertisements don't really happen here, you have to have key people in the industry that give you, information that is not readily out there. That's why mentorship is important. That's why knowing people like Dr. Alex is important, who has names of people. Someone is his friend might just say, I just want to fill 3 positions. And he will just recommend the 3 people he already has, lined up because of some character or something you've done to stand you out. So this is how to solve it. You must follow the relevant people in the industry, know what is happening, go to events, volunteer, and there's no gainsaying. I'm sure those following Mama J already know all this. So don't expect, the Punch newspapers to say vacancy in, I don't want to mention any airline that's coming, So I think I've answered the question, but I'll just say one thing before I drop the mic, which Mrs. D talked about, is your unique selling points. You need to stand out. I started as a model before I came into this sector, and back then I used to work with Kese Jabari, a known designer at the time, and when we were preparing for one of our shows, he said, Tony, if I go to Yaba Market, there are so many people that look like you. How would you stand out? He had his fashion house in Yaba at the time. And, for me at that time, as crazy as it seemed, I went to start dreadlocks. I just started dreadlocks, For me, that was how I stood out. And it didn't stop there. I came for Virgin Nigeria. I'm not saying anybody should go and carry dreadlocks. I'm just saying this was my unique selling point, okay? I came for the job for Virgin Nigeria, and I was the only one carrying dreadlocks. And everybody in the room were like, this guy has to be crazy to come for a job in Nigeria carrying dreadlocks. Who would take you as a cabin crew? Well, guess what? I got the job. And they didn't tell me to go cut my dreads. I decided to cut my dreadlocks because they saw what I could deliver or what I could bring to bear. So when I came to the office and I cut my dread, they said, no, we didn't say you should cut it. I was tired of it. I said, I wanted a new look. And that's how my dread went, not because, they wanted me to cut it. So knowing what will stand you out is very important. I'm not saying you should go. If you carry dread now, no airline, in fact, you don't have to enter the door. So let people try it. I'm just saying, it helped me to just find a way to make myself stand out at the given material time, and I was able to build on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tony. Mr. Ige, please let's handle the last questions, and then we'll start our interactive session. So feel free. There's so many people that you can choose to meet. This is your opportunity. Don't miss it.
Good afternoon, everyone. All protocols